That good? Hi. I'd heard you say once before about making goals, kind of a warning sort of about making goals. But then I got real inspired about a goal, and it felt really good to make that goal, and I made it and announced it to anybody who would listen. And since then, I started stressing out about the goal now because it's the goals.
So now you know what we were talking about.
Right. Right. It lies within a time frame. I want to become a full-time artist, and I have a contract with a job, and I told the job I'd stop after a year. So now everyone's looking at me, and time's ticking away. I want to know how I can shift that, or do I stop talking? I mean, I've already talked about it, but
the thing that is most interesting about it is that a goal that is set from outside the vortex is a different goal than a goal that is set from inside the vortex. In other words, when you're all full of yourself, tuned in, loving what you're doing, loving the feeling of the art flowing through you, knowing that you're good at it, knowing that it's inspired, knowing that it's what you want to do all day, every day, knowing that you want to share it with others, knowing that others would find value in it, knowing that there's benefit in what you are doing, knowing that you were born to do it. When you feel like that, we can understand why you'd say, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. In other words, that's a powerful setting of a goal or identifying of an intention. But if you are at work doing something that you're really not enjoying doing that much and yearning to have more time to do what you want to do, and you say, I'm going to stop doing this thing I don't want so that I can do this thing I do want, you don't have the help of the universe. Very different situation. Can you feel the difference?
Yeah.
And you're doing some of both of that. In other words, we know you felt all of that. So the reason that we are not keen on goal setting, let's clarify. We love it when we find a new analogy that is so giving in terms of clarifying. And the vortex is such an analogy. In other words, once you get the concept of this vibrational reality centered within you, then as we speak about doing something from inside or outside the vortex, it's just a faster way of defining all of this. When you set goals from inside the vortex, we would call them inspired goals. When you set goals from outside the vortex, we would call them motivating goals. Trying to motivate yourself, trying to motivate others, in other words, trying to use effort to make something happen. And we are not proponents of trying to make things happen at all. Because we know, and the reason that this conversation is so wonderful on the heels of the conversation that we just had, is because the contrast, which often you think you don't want, is actually what's setting your goals. In other words, through the sifting of contrast, you have built this vortex, which is the ultimate goal. It's not just a goal. It's not a goal in the sense that I'm reaching for it. It's a goal in the sense that you already are it. You already are it. That's why we take issue with goals. We take issue with the idea of a goal because it implies I'm not it yet, when in every case, the larger part of you is. Ooh, isn't that clarifying?
Yeah.
So you are that artist. You are that self-supporting artist. You are that talented artist. You are that renowned artist. In other words, vibrationally, it is already done. You just have to find a way to get up to speed with it. And when you feel that fear or that worry, that maybe I'm rushing that, it's not feedback that's saying to you, you've set a goal that's too short of time. It's feedback, or it's not a goal. It's not a feedback that's saying to you, you're not going to get what you want. It's just feedback that says, in this moment, in this thought, you're not on the wavelength of who you are. That's all. We've said to so many writers of books and writers of songs and writers of music and creators of art, when they say, how can I be discovered? How can I get published? We say, write another song, write another book, sculpt another sculpture, paint another painting. And they always think that that's an odd response from us, because they think, well, I've already painted a garage full. Now I want to market them. Now I want somebody to discover them. And the reason that we encourage them in the way we do is because we know that those juices flowing is what makes everything happen. And so we love talking to creators who have already shown themselves their creative ability as you have with your art. Because what it takes in order for that art to flow is exactly the same thing that it takes in order for the money to flow. It's not different. In other words, you know how you can't just be in any old mood and do your thing. And you know the difference between when you're tuned in and it flows through you, and when you're not tuned in and you just can't make it happen and you end up setting it aside. You almost can't even bring it back when you've worked in and out of the vortex mode. And so we don't think you've set a goal that's too abrupt. We know that you have the ability to parlay your talent into something that will generate profits for you. It's just a matter of giving yourself whatever leeway it takes to feel comfortable in that. And we would not use a goal to challenge ourselves. That's the best way of putting it. Okay. We would say, never mind. Later, Gator. Right. All in good time. Everything's unfolding for me. Everything's happening perfectly. I'm right on schedule. Everything's happening just the way I want it to. My juices are flowing. I've made the right decision. This is so good. This is who I am. I love doing this. I love being this. I love knowing this. I love painting this. I love sculpting this. I love doing this. I love who I am. I love having discovered who I am. Just keep talking like that. When you talk about what you want and why you want it, you're almost always in the vortex. When you talk about when it's going to come, how it's going to come, who's going to bring it, who's going to be with it, how it's going to unfold, what it's going to be like, it almost always takes you out of the vortex because you're asking questions to which you don't know the answers. So what your work now is, just for the next while, your work is to get into that vortex as often as you can and love every minute that you're there. And whether you're painting or just feeling good because you're in the vortex, get in the vortex as much as you can. That is your only assignment. And say to yourself, I only have one thing to do, and that is be the cooperative component to my powerful intention. And you'll be able to feel if you are. And we know, because we can feel who you are, those that you've been working with are not going to challenge you. They're with you on this. In other words, there's no one that's saying, we don't think you're going to make it. There's nobody that's rooting for your failure. And we are certain that there's no one that's going to say, nope, your day's up, get out. Nobody's going to do that to you. They're going to give you as much time as you want, you see. One of the things that we always tell people who are reaching like this is, and this is what you've heard us say about these goals, you don't have to close one door in order for another to open. There's just a whole hallway of doors open. In other words, there's just never-ending openings for you. And there is not a reason in the world why you have to stop altogether doing one thing so that you can do another. And if the stopping of one makes you worry about money, then you won't be able to do the other, because you can't be in the vortex if you're worried about what's going to happen financially, you see? Right. So if people say, are you on schedule? Say, I'm working that out. I'm making sure I'm in the right place. Because as an artist, I have to be in tune. I have to be in sync. And I can't have financial concerns and be in sync. I'm not a starving artist. I'm a productive artist. I'm an eating artist. I'm a well-employed artist. I'm a very wise artist, you see.